Welcome to Behind the Scenes at Gentle Carousel Miniature Therapy Horses, where tiny horses bring comfort, hope, and healing to children, veterans, first responders, and communities in need. For almost 30 years, this award-winning nonprofit charity has shared the healing power of miniature therapy horses inside children's and veterans hospitals, hospice programs, assisted living programs, schools, and beyond. Now they are sharing their stories every week on the Equus Radio Network.
Hello and welcome back to Behind the Scenes at Gentle Carousel Miniature Therapy Horses. My name is Jorge Garcia-Bengochea and I'll be your host today, and I'm here with
Debbie Garcia-Bengochea.
And we're so excited you've come back to our podcast. Today I thought we would talk about questions and answers. You know, we receive a lot of questions, normally in the form of emails. We're out and about, and we can't answer every question as we travel and as we do our work. But we thought we'd take some time today to answer some of those questions. And Debbie, I think you've accumulated some questions that we might address today.
I have some questions. I try to email, or I know you do as well, as many people as we can. We try to answer questions, but sometimes they just start piling up faster than I can get answers out. So this is a great way of doing that. So I wanted to go through some questions. I have one for you.
Okay. That
we get a lot, is which horse do you like the best?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Well, it's the one that I'm working with on that particular day. And really that's truthful. They're all special. They all have their own personality, and they're all very, very loving little horses. They're a lot of fun to work with, and I think that's the enjoyment that I receive, is to bring the horses into different situations, work with people, and to watch the horses interact with people. And like I said, they're all different. I love them individually. It's kind of like asking who is your favorite child. I don't think you just can't answer that, but yeah. I really do. I think they're all very, very special, and I'm thankful for the job that I have, training and working for these very special animals.
And I think the thing that always comes to mind is they are so different. And when people talk about training one of the horses, you know everything there is to know until you train the second horse, which is totally different than the first horse. So they're very, very different in personalities. They're different in the things they like to do, who they like to be with. Some really like seniors. Some are really good with children. They all are so different that way. So the one you work with is
That's
the
right.
one.
That's
okay.
the answer I'm
That's
going
the
with.
answer you're going to stick with. Another question we get a lot is, who names your horses? Do you know who names our horses?
I do know who names our horses. That's well, why don't you tell us about the process? Because
well, it is a process. We don't have very many foals, so when we do have one, it's a very big deal, and we get thousands of ideas on social media, name ideas. And so we take those and go through them, and every single one we read, because we feel like if people take the time to give us a name idea, we read every single one, and then we usually pick the top 5. And it is hard because people are amazingly creative. And then that top 5 we usually take to a children's hospital. And so it's been children that have ultimately named our horses.
And they are the best experts.
They are the experts. So all of your names, Sparkle and Sweetheart and all of the Rainbow, those are all names that children that were patients in hospitals have given the horses. So that's the answer to that. Funny stories. People want to know, what is the funniest story we've had with the therapy horses? Because we have a lot of heartwarming stories and, stories that are really touching, but we do have some funny things that happen. What is your favorite funny story?
Well, I'll tell you one that's actually very surprising. When we took our trip up to New York and someone recognized our van, and actually that's happened a couple times in New York, which is surprising. one time we were having dinner, and we were with another couple, and the person with us asked, do you think people in New York know about your horses? And we said, well, we think so. And so this gentleman asked the server, have you heard about Gentle Carousel miniature therapy horses? And this young guy says, yes, they're the little horses that went up to Sandy Hook and served the community up there. And it was pretty surprising. And then another occasion, it was a totally separate trip a few years later. We were in New York, and we were taking our volunteer to where she was staying for the night. And someone yelled out, it's Gentle Carousel, because they saw our van and they saw the logo on the side of the van. And they recognized us. We rolled down the window, and
we couldn't stop. It was like heavy traffic.
So we exchanged pleasantries
as best we could as we drove by,
and then kept driving. But that was pretty funny.
They said, I'm your biggest fan. But I can't believe that we heard them, how loud they had to be. It was a woman with her husband, and it was honking and heavy traffic in New York City. Our windows were up, and we still heard them. So, I mean, we were happy to be able to at least wave, but it wasn't like we were in any position to stop where we were. But yeah, that was pretty funny. That was a good one. I like... do you remember the family that called us about their mom? There was a woman, and she was in an assisted living program.
Senior care.
Yeah. And they called and said, we have to tell you this story. They said, we thought our mom had taken a turn for the worst. And they called the assisted living program and said, you've got to get the doctor in there right away because mom has taken a turn for the worst and it's really bad. So the people working there said, well, what's going on? And they said, she called us on the phone and told us there was a horse in her room. So she's completely delusional and we need to get help for her. So they had to explain to this family that there was indeed a horse in her room, and she was just trying to call home to see if the grandchildren could come over really quickly and see the horse too. So the family is the one who called us and said, we have to tell you what we did. We thought she had taken a turn, but turns out there was a horse in her room. Mm-hmm. I thought that was funny. Mm-hmm. That was a good one. I like the one that somebody posted under our Facebook, and it was you shaking the hands of a little boy, and they wrote, it's the man, the myth, the legend, Jorge Garcia-Bengochea. I like that. The man, the myth, the legend. Okay.
Well,
what do you say about that?
What do you say about that? I don't know. That's anyway, I enjoy what we do, and so what do you say?
A lot of the questions are really basic questions, like, what do your horses eat? Mm-hmm. And hopefully that's very, people say your horses look good. They look shiny, they look healthy, they're at a good weight. What do you feed your miniature horses? Mm-hmm. Do you want to answer that?
That's a good question. We've been feeding our horses a forage diet for years, and I think it's worked out well. They seem to be very healthy. I think when you work with miniatures, you're always concerned about them being overweight. Miniatures can gain weight quickly, and we want them to be active, the right weight. And so we have worked with a chopped forage that seems to be working very well. And I think you had some thoughts about where we got that recommendation from.
Well, years ago, Joe Camp, who did all the Benji movies, he came into town and did a fundraising event for us. He flew in with Benji, and one of their movies had just come out, so it was great to meet the dog from the movie. And he taught us a lot of really interesting things, and he's been very involved with horses. Joe passed away just recently, which was very sad, but he taught a lot of people about natural horsemanship and how horses think, and did a lot of work with horses that had been wild, in the wild, and really helping with them. And he wrote some great books. but he highly recommended an all forage diet for our miniature horses. And we pretty much have stuck to a forage diet for years, and it's been great and easy to travel with. When the horses are traveling across the country, to have a diet, we try to make sure that they eat throughout the day. And so when they're traveling or when they finish doing something, they come in and they get, a few handfuls of their forage. And it's a treat to them. They love it. And it keeps them sort of eating all day long, which is important for a horse too. And always eating with their heads down on the ground like they would naturally rather than up high. Mm-hmm. And so forage diet, do you want to talk specifically about what kind? That would probably be good.
We can mention that we specifically, they eat grass from the pasture. That's where they do their grazing. And then in the stall and sometimes in the troughs there, we give them what's called Wellness Equisafe. And this is from Seminole Feeds. Seminole Feeds is here in Ocala, but you can buy that anywhere in the country. You can buy it from your local feed store, or you can buy it through Chewy. They're now a distributor of Seminole Feed, and so that can come right to your barn. But we have met with the folks there, and they're very informed, and they give you good information. The feeds that come out of that plant are exceptionally fresh. They use the best ingredients. They are tested, and they're packaged and come off the shelves very quickly. So we may even do an interview with them, at the folks there at Seminole Feed. I think it's pretty amazing what they're able to do and get this out to horses really across the country. So we're excited that we have this product. We can, when we're traveling, we do bring some hay with us that we feed in the pastures. So we're bringing that along with us, but we like to bring a bag or two of this chopped forage. So that way they're on the same diet. We can see how much they're eating, and their metabolism, their digestion stays on the same track. So it just seems to have worked well, and our horses have been very healthy.
Now we do add for some of our senior horses another product from Seminole Feed. And
we do. They have a product called Senior Mix. It's a wellness product, Senior Mix, and that allows them to get a higher amount of calories and protein and some fats. It really helps them along with their diet at an elderly state, older age. So they maintain their weight. So you have different phases, different stages of their life cycle. When they're a little bit older, we want to maintain their weight. We want to make sure that they're keeping that weight on.
So anyway, I know that was very specific, but people always want real specifics. What exactly do you feed? That's one of our most asked questions. What do you feed your horses? And we get that all the time. So there's the answer. We tell people all the time what we do, but we put that out. Some of the other questions that we get, and the answers are very quick. I would like to buy the following horses from you. Prices, please. And the answer is?
That's not happening.
We don't sell horses. I know we've had people who have said everything is for sale. It's not with us. They have a forever home. We're going to do everything we can to make sure they always stay in their lifelong herd, because they've done so much good for people, and we want to make sure they have that kind of a life. I would say we get 2 or 3 requests a week about buying specific horses that we have. And I totally understand that, but that's the answer is no, we don't sell horses at all. I also got one just a couple of days ago, and somebody said, I have a disability, and so you are required by law to give me a horse. No, we're not. In a wonderful world, I guess that would be the case for someone. And we appreciate that someone looks at the kind of things our horses do and love it, but we are not required by law to give anyone a horse at all.
Mm-hmm.
We get another question often, and it is, will you bring your horses to my child's birthday party? Again, I totally understand that, but the answer would be, is your child in hospice care, or are they seriously ill? Because we have done some parties for children in hospice care.
We have, yeah. And it's, we have to stay to our mission. Our mission is to bring little horses to those who need it most. And we've decided, and we have a board of directors and we have our volunteers, and we have limited resources. We can only do so much. We are not, we're not a pony party company. That's just not what we're doing. And there are others that are out there, and that's fine. You should give them a call. That's just not what we're doing. And we don't have the resources to do that. And that's not what we're about. So,
and even if, we've had people who've said, well, I can give you, this much money. You could probably really use the money. Could we use money? Yes. But once you start going down that road, then, if we're at a birthday party, that means there's another place that we're not going to be able to go that day, a hospital or to a child that truly is in hospice. But we have done parties for children in hospice care and children who are seriously ill. We have done that, but not regular birthday parties. But I would have loved ponies at a birthday party when I was a child, so I totally get that. I'm wondering, we got this, what is the cringiest thing people say to us? You're going to make me answer that one too?
Yes, well, oftentimes, I'm working with the horse, and so I don't hear the questions that Debbie hears. So.
You don't always get the emails all the time.
Yes, but so why don't you answer that?
Okay. It's calling our horses Little Sebastian. Little Sebastian is coming. I know they mean that as like funny and it's from Parks and Recreation, but I think after you've heard that like 1,000 times, you're ready not to hear it again. The other thing is the joke, oh, he can't talk because he's just a little horse. Someone wanted to use that at a commercial that we were going to be in and not going to be in. That would be so funny. I'm just a little horse. No, that again, it's one of those that after 1,000 times, it may be new to the person who's saying it, but not so much to us. We've heard that a few times. So we don't really hear cringy things. I'm not sure what this person had in mind, but those are two things that we often hear that you kind of go, please don't say that anymore. Let's see. Here's some other questions. Somebody wanted, well, here's an email that I got recently, and we get sort of emails like this off and on of people wanting to volunteer, which is great, and we're really, really strict about who volunteers around our horses. This person said, I would like to volunteer for Gentle Carousel. So can I set up a time to swing by and pick up some horses to take to a rehab hospital that I would like to have them at? I'm going to assume that they meant well, but nobody swings by and picks up our horses that we have never met before. In the same way that you wouldn't let somebody swing by and pick up your dog that you had never met and just drive away with it, right?
Or your child.
Or your child, which is kind of how it felt. You wouldn't give a dog to a stranger, your dog, but I think it's that next step of people understanding how much work it takes to really develop trust and a bond with the horses. You're taking them into a hospital setting which has got everything going on. People are taking photos, there's lights, there's,
different smells. For those of you who've been in hospitals, which many of us have, there's antiseptic smells, there's cleaning smells, there's medical just different things. It's a different
wheelchairs. I mean, there's so much
it's
that
not
goes
where
on.
you typically would find a horse, but our horses have gotten used to it, and they do look to me, they look to whoever's working with the horse to know that it's a safe environment.
Yeah, so we're just really, really careful with that. I think that another thing, and this is kind of a sensitive area, we will have, and this is a lot, all the time, many times a week, people want advice. I want to do what you do, and they want advice. And we have to be so careful with that. And we've had some tough experiences. This one that comes to mind because it really drove it home for us of how careful we have to be. There was a gentleman who called and also sent an email, and he said that he was going to take his miniature horse into a nursing home that weekend, and he wanted to get some advice. He said the horse had never been inside before, and it was a biter, and wanted to get some help because he was going to take it into a nursing home. So my advice was, don't do it because your horse bites and has never been indoors before. So I thought that was a reasonable answer. And apparently it went really, really badly. And he told the assisted living program, who contacted us and said that we were his mentors. And it was really literally a 2-minute conversation. So that's why we're super, super careful about things. We have had experiences too where people don't get advice from us but pretend that they're gentle Carousel, and we've had that even locally where someone said, we're so excited that you guys are coming tomorrow. There was an event we were at, and we were like, we're not coming tomorrow. And it was somebody else who had told them that they were gentle Carousel in order to get in. So we just have to be really, really careful. We're so careful with the training. We're so careful in making sure that everything is safe. And we know things can go badly. There was like the Kentucky Children's Hospital.
Yeah, when we were going up to the Kentucky Horse Park for that was Breyer
Fest, yeah.
Fest, and so we made arrangements in advance to go by Kentucky Children's Hospital. So that was planned out pretty far in advance, and someone at the hospital got wind that we were coming to the hospital, and they had miniature horses, and they thought, well, I can do this. And so they talked to the administration, and they said, why don't I'll just bring my miniature horses, and I can do what they do. So when we got to Kentucky Children's Hospital, they were asking a lot of questions, and they said, are you sure your horse can do this? And
can they go up and... they have to go up an elevator, right? They kept saying.
Yeah, we had to come into a particular area, load and unload, and go through an elevator and walk down halls. And I assured them that we had done this many, many times. This is what we do. And so we did the visit, and it was really phenomenal.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
it was a great place.
There was a lot of media there. They had some students who were taking pictures and writing stories, and some of the local media. I think it wound up being on the front page of the Lexington newspaper there. And so when we were finishing up the visit, we said, "Well, you seem to be asking a lot of questions, like more than."
And we had worked out a lot with them because they had never had a horse in there before. We break a lot of glass ceilings through the years. And we had to get an infection control person from another hospital we worked in to contact their infection control person. I mean, there was a lot that was put in getting ready to go. So it was a little surprising that they were so...
Yeah, and then it turns out that we got the whole story is that this staff member had brought their horse to the hospital, tried to load it into the elevator, and it went very badly. The horse was screaming and scrambling, scraping along the floors, and I think, it was just a mess.
Apparently, it went to the bathroom everywhere in the elevator. The elevator never actually moved to go up to the children, which was a good thing, but it went badly. And so again, I think we're very careful with who we're working with, who we mentor, and it's sad because it makes it very challenging because you want to help people, but you don't need it to come back that you are mentoring someone whose horse was out of control in a situation. So that was a good example.
That was unfortunate. And again, getting back, we have our mission. There are visits that we do and things that we don't do. So we try to stay in our lane, and I wish others would do that as well. And then that way, there's no confusion. We do try to maintain our reputation, what our gentle carousel miniature therapy horses can do, and what they like to do, and how we can work with people who are in need. So that was unfortunate, and we want to make sure that people understand what we're all about.
Yeah, and we really want to make it go like it went so well there, and the children were so happy, and the staff was all lined up on the stairs, when we came in. I mean, it really was a great time to be there. We were really, really pleased. Another question, and it goes with that just a little bit, is can I use your photos? People see our photos on different places or online and things like that. And I will say, first of all, I really appreciate it when someone asks if they can use our photos. And depending on what it's for, we have said yes to different things. And I always tell people I really appreciate that you contacted us. And especially we get students who are doing reports and things like that, and they will ask, can I use your photos for my report, for my we are like all over for that, of saying, yes, you can, and good luck with your report. And we are so happy that you contacted us, because that's the right thing to do. I'm a little sensitive about it because I take most of the photos. We don't just post on our social media, we post our photos on social media. And we have seen them turn up in ads for businesses in magazines. We've seen them, I've had to contact people who are using them for GoFundMes to raise money for assorted charities and things like that. And I know I just dealt with someone, and they said, well, we're going to start a program like yours, and we needed to have this GoFundMe, but we've never done anything with our horses before. So we needed pictures of your horses. And that's really not how things work. And, we just tried to explain that you just can't go out and take photos from wherever you find them and use them, especially to fundraise with. So we actually had a woman who took a photo. She was in New York, and it was a well-known person. In fact, it was a rabbi who had a dog that was also a rabbi. And they did all this social media, and she took one of our photos and she made a completely fake story online and on her social media about the horse in the photo, how she had taken the horse into the hospital. She named the horse. She did this whole thing about how the children reacted to the horse, and it was all fiction. It was just a photo that she had taken. And I wouldn't have known about it, but we had different people who follow us on social media who said, hey, there's this woman in New York who's a rabbi, or that's her name that she uses anyway. And so I contacted her, and of course she just blocked me. And then other people contacted her, and she just blocked them, and she continued running with this story about how people wept in her arms and how much they loved it, and I just didn't understand. So we are a little sensitive about photos, but on the other hand, we have been really willing to let people use photos for things too, for different books and different, magazines and things like that, but with permission. So the answer to the question is, if you want to use our photos, ask, and we may be able to work it out, but please do it with permission. Did I go on too long about that?
It's only fair. It's only fair, and we certainly don't want misrepresentation in any situation.
I think another question that we are asked, and actually someone just asked yesterday, an email question, said, I want to do what you do, and I want to know how much money I can expect to make the first year. I think the answer is, how much money can you expect to spend the first year and the second year and the third year and for many years? And they wanted to know how much they should charge for individual visits or hospitals as a whole. And we've never charged for a visit in 30 years, so that was not something that we could help them. But we hear a lot of people asking how much money.
Yeah, well, I think if you're asking that question, you're in the wrong business, because we never started doing this for monetary gain or to figure out how much money we could make. We saw the power of the miniature therapy horses and what they could do for people. They make a difference in people's lives. And like you said, we don't charge for those visits.
And we paid for everything for many years, 100%.
And still every year it's, we ask for donations and we ask for support to keep this program ongoing. But the first several years we were doing it just because it was out of kindness, and we really enjoyed what we were doing. We saw the benefit, and
nobody else was doing it.
No, nobody else was doing it. There was satisfaction in saying what could be accomplished with a miniature horse, and with a lot of enthusiasm and heart. So we put our own resources into Gentle Carousel miniature therapy horses for years and years, and we really can only continue doing this because of the generous support of people, hopefully, that are even listening now. But we do have a large following throughout the world and here in the United States that enjoys seeing what we do with these therapy horses. So, it's certainly not about the money and not how much money we can make.
We just really want to make sure that we can keep it going and make sure the horses have the best care possible.
Mm-hmm.
I have another question that we get usually on social media, but we also get emails about photos, and it is anytime, and it's really tough lately, because if there's a picture that turns out really well, and a horse or a horse and dog or somebody is doing something adorable, we get, that's AI. And years ago, you never really had to consider that people would think that we are putting out fake photos and AI photos on our social media. So the thing that I always tell people on social media is, we never post an AI photo of our horses. If you see it, it's real. If there's an interaction happening between them and one of the guardian dogs or with each other, it's real. So we don't ever have fake photos, AI photos. And I know that's hard because it can be very confusing now of what's real and what's not real. So I think it's important to know, if you're looking on our website or you're looking at our social media, it's real. And we would love to have you follow us on social media. You can go to our website, which is gentlecarouseltherapyhorses.com, and all of our social media is on there. So we would love to have you follow us. And if you do, just know that it's real. And I think that's important. So do you have any other questions that you've heard?
I don't think so. I think you've covered a lot.
Yeah, just a couple more. Do we have
Sure,
time for
sure.
a couple more? We get asked how long your horses live. That's a pretty common question. And it is, miniature horses can live into their 30s. They, kind of like how smaller dogs live longer than bigger dogs. I think that's the case sometime with ponies and miniature horses. So they can live into their 30s. we get asked if the horses are dwarfs, or people will say, oh, you have dwarf horses. And actually, dwarfism, there are miniature horses that have dwarfism, but they shouldn't ever have that. It's poor breeding. There are tests that you give horses to tell whether they carry dwarfism or not. And those horses should never be bred. All of our horses, we know from testing over many years, do not carry for dwarfism at all. So they are little horses, but they are not dwarf horses. I think that's important.
That leads to medical complications. I mean, they're not healthy horses. That's the problem. And I think it's important for people to be educated about that, because they can be cute, they're small, but they don't live a healthy, happy life if that's their medical situation, their biology. So I mean,
it's great if the ones that are out there have good homes.
Sure, they need to be taken care of, absolutely.
But they shouldn't be happening.
And they certainly shouldn't be bred, is I think the point.
And there are horses who look like normal miniature horses who carry for dwarfism. So you can't just look at a miniature horse and go, oh no, he doesn't have that. You don't know. And if there's a miniature horse that's carrying and you breed it to one that's carrying, you could wind up with a horse with dwarfism and major health problems.
Yeah, then you have complications, and it's hard for everybody.
So testing. And it's so great that there is testing so that it doesn't have to happen ever. Questions we get: do the horses live in the house with you? You're laughing.
No, they don't.
I think people see them indoors a lot, so I can understand that
question. Well, when we go on visits, we take them inside different locations and things like that. And when we have a foal, we might do some training in the house. They'll walk through, so they learn how to walk on different surfaces. I think it's important for people to understand that it's unusual for a horse to walk on different surfaces. Normally they're in pasture, they walk on grass, they may walk in sandy areas, and that's kind of the extent of what a horse normally is walking on. But when you bring them into these different environments, they're learning to work on pavement, concrete. If they're walking inside a building, they have to step over a threshold. If they're in a parking lot, there are lines that are drawn on the parking lot that can be very frightening to a horse. Horses have a different type of depth perception, so they don't know if they're walking off a cliff, if they're stepping into a trap, what they're getting into. So we have to do some training, get them acclimated to different
and trust,
different surfaces, different feels, and that trusting relationship, so they know where they're going and that everything is going to be fine.
But they would be very unhappy living indoors. I think that's the other thing, is we will have people saying, how small a room area can I keep a miniature horse? And you could keep a child in a closet, but that's not what you should do.
No.
And keeping a horse in a small area, or a horse inside, they're herd animals. They like to be with their friends. So they're cute inside. We bring them inside for different things, but they definitely live a very natural life outside. And I think another question that we get every now and then, we have some people who are animal lovers who don't really understand about horses. And we are asked, why don't you just set them free and let them run free? And I'm not exactly sure where we're supposed to set them free, like out on the highway, or just open all the gates. I think they live a pretty good life. They have the vet care they need, and the dental care, and the hoof care, and they have friends and places to run. But we do get asked every now and then, you should set them free. And I don't think there's too many places for horses to run free anymore. So our horses won't get set free. Another question that we asked, I just have two more. Our most asked question is, what about the poop? What do you do? And the answer to that question is, they are house trained. If you see a therapy horse with a poop bag, that says this is not a fully trained horse. They should be house trained if they're working, in hospitals and things like that. So the answer to that question is they are house trained, and some people are surprised that it is possible to do that, but it definitely is possible to do that. It takes a lot of work. It's like a puppy times 1,000, but it's definitely worth the time and the effort. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah.
You're like, good. I know, I'm not going to. Another question that we get, which I again totally understand, is we would like to visit your farm. And our answer to that is we have had people on our farm, but at this point we do so many public events, and our farm has livestock guardian dogs and cameras, and the horses are off duty when they're on the farm. And if we said yes to every person who wanted to come and visit, we would never leave the farm. We would never be able to do the work that we do, because that would be a full-time job if we said yes to everyone. So it's not that we don't want to meet with people, and we certainly are out in the public with thousands and thousands of people all the time. But our farm is a haven for the horses to just be horses. And we're pretty careful with the guardian dogs, of course, and everything is on camera and everything is as safe as we can possibly make it. So that's the answer to that question that we get a lot.
Yeah, and getting back to our intention from the very beginning was to have small horses that could go out and meet people where they are. So we could bring these horses into the community, into hospitals, into schools and libraries, work with seniors and veterans. There are plenty of places where you can go and visit a farm and see horses.
Great places in Ocala, Florida, the horse capital of the world.
But that has not been our intention, and so this is just it's a different environment.
Yeah, and I know too that people who follow us on social media feel like they know us, and we get to know people because they're regulars and they're commenting and they're which is fantastic. So we feel like we know a lot of people all over the country. But I will tell you about one email that I got, and it was a while ago, but it gets my attention. Somebody wrote, and at first I thought they were kidding, but then they called, and they weren't kidding. And they said, "We are flying into town on this date. There are 8 of us, and we are planning on staying at your farm on that day, on these days. And we wondered if you would be willing to pick us up at the airport 2.5 hours from your house each way. And we also have someone coming down from New York." This was a group from New York, "and they're bringing a horse trailer in case we fall in love with someone while we're there. And we want to know, because we have a limited budget, should we plan on providing food, or is that something that you'll take care of for us?" Your answer I was like a little flabbergasted, because I thought that was a lot. Don't you think that was a lot?
Yeah.
To ask? Was it just me?
Not what we do.
Yeah. So, we told them, and they picked a date that we weren't, frankly, even going to be in the state. But, that I think the idea that we try to do a lot of public events. We did reading programs this summer in one location that there were over 1,500 people that saw the horses. And in addition to that, we did library programs and we did other events over the summer. So there were a lot of places where people were able to see our horses and talk with us and things like that. So we really try to make it available, even though most of the visits are private. They're schools or they're hospitals or hospice programs. Most of it is private, but I think we do try to get out as much as we can in the communities and things like that. We've had to be very careful, like if we're going to visit a hospital. Years ago, we used to kind of say where we were going to be or what we were doing that day. And I think we realized that wasn't something we could do, because remember the one hospital in Nashville and all those people showed up and were waiting at the door?
Mm-hmm.
And again, they were excited, and we stopped and let them meet the horse because they'd made a trip there and everything. But we realized you can't really do that and then have the horse really focused when it goes inside to meet with children. So there are places that are available to meet the horses, and a lot of people, thousands of people have met the horses through the years, but, you know, we're just careful.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
those are the questions I have. If people do have questions.
Yeah, I think those have been great questions, and I hope we answered everybody's questions. If you do have more questions, or you have some different things you want to submit to us, please, by all means, go ahead and send that in. Send an email, make a comment on Facebook, and we may do this again real soon, and we can answer them in the future. But I hope we answered a lot of questions and a lot of information.
And
so
we do try. I mean, we send out a lot of emails back to people.
we do our
as
best
much as we can.
Sure, we do our best with the time and the resources that we have to get back with everybody. And we thank you. We thank you for your following, your support, and your questions. So I hope this has been informative to you. And Debbie, do you have one more thing?
Well, we have our gala coming up,
We do.
which really helps us because we do not charge for anything that we do. It is going to be an incredible event with amazing singer-songwriters from Nashville that are coming down, who have, if you go to our website, under news, there's information about the different performers that are coming down and information about the gala now. That's in that section. And there's also a link on our website if you would like to buy a ticket. But I will just say these singers and these singer-songwriters are some of the most talented and well-known songwriters in Nashville.
Yeah, we have Brent Mayer coming down. We also have Billy Montana and Leslie Satcher, sorry.
Leslie Satcher, yeah, who wrote one of my favorite songs, Troubadour, for George Strait, among many things that she's written. And Brett Mayer has written over 20 number one country songs, and Billy Montana, again, multiple songs. Brent is in the Country Music Hall of Fame as a master musician.
He is in a couple times, yes, for an engineer and also something else. I can't remember, but
I have it. I should have it memorized. But the things that he has done,
and the people he's worked with, he's really seen Nashville and the recording industry, the music industry grow up, and so I feel like this is legendary. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity to see these folks. They're doing music in the round, and it's going to benefit Gentle Carousel Miniature Therapy Horses.
And Billy Montana too. He wrote Garth Brooks' "More Than a Memory," which debuted at number one, the only song to ever debut at number one. On the country charts, he wrote "Bring on the Rain" with Jody Messina. I mean, so many. I don't want to get into all of it right now because we've already done a lot, but so worthwhile to be able to have an opportunity to see them. And they are doing stuff right now, like, was it Brent that did the song from the Bear?
Yes, he contributed.
Show?
He wrote some songs for the TV show The Bear.
And then they've written them for the Nashville, the television show Nashville, and they're doing stuff all the time, and we'll talk about it more later, but Brent has done this amazing new, I don't know what you call it.
Well, it's a music audio book, and it's called Night of the Orphan Train. And
it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's some great songs, great story, and it's Americana.
Yeah.
And what more can you ask for country music? And he just super creative.
They all are. They're amazing.
And on top of all that, Magic will be there celebrating her 20th birthday. So, and we have some exciting news that night that will, I think there's going to be a proclamation read in Magic's honor.
It's true. Gentle Carousel's Magic. It'll be Magic Day for the city of Ocala that day, which is the horse capital of the world. So that'll be a really special moment too, and so many other things, but she'll be there in her tuxedo.
Yeah. So if you're able to make it, we'd love to have you fly in, and we do have there's hotel accommodations in downtown Ocala that will be available. I think we have a block rate. So please inquire about that. And if you can't make it, consider making a donation in someone's honor. You can get a table or a seat for a veteran, for a first responder. We're asking some families that are going through some difficult times, if they can't afford to come, maybe they can receive a donated seat to be there for this special night.
So anyway, you can find more information about that on the website, but we're excited about that, and it's going to be really a once-in-a-lifetime night with the performers. So.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us. This has been a wonderful podcast, and we're so glad that you've come back, and we look forward to hearing from you, and we look forward to the next podcast
and more questions
of Behind the Scenes at Gentle Carousel Miniature Therapy Horses. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed the Gentle Carousel podcast, remember to follow the little horses on social media and join the Gentle Carousel newsletter mailing list. If you'd like to learn more about supporting the important work of Gentle Carousel Miniature Therapy Horses, or if you have a question that you'd like answered on a future episode, all contact information is on the charity website, gentlecarouseltherapyhorses.com. Join Behind the Scenes at Gentle Carousel Miniature Therapy Horses each week for a new episode right here on the Equus Radio Network.